She's sad, Daddy. She lost her babies. She just wants them back. A 6-year-old, barefoot in the dirt, walking toward the river at 3 in the morning. In the morning, there were 2 pairs of pink sneakers on the bank. She only owned one. The second pair was a size smaller. I'm 32. I have 2 kids, Emma, who's 6, and Lucas, who's 8. My wife, Anna, grew up in Las Cruces. Her family has a piece of land near the Rio Grande, south of Truth or Consequences. Desert scrub, cottonwood trees along the river, a fire pit her father built out of stacked river rock. We camp there every spring. This year, Anna didn't want to go. She didn't say it directly. She said the kids had soccer. She said the truck needed servicing. She said the weather was supposed to be cold. Each time I worked around it, she found a new excuse. By the time we'd packed the truck and were on the road, she'd been quiet for 3 days. I asked her once on the drive what was bothering her. She didn't answer. Then she said the river had felt different to her ever since she was a kid. I asked her what that meant. She just shook her head, stared out at the desert as it rolled past. When we crossed the bridge over the Rio Grande, her hands tightened on the steering wheel until the knuckles went white. The kids didn't notice. Lucas had headphones on. Emma was holding her stuffed rabbit and pointing out cottonwoods. I noticed. I just didn't know what I was noticing. We set up camp in the same spot Anna's father had showed her decades ago. 2 tents, the fire pit, 50 yards from the bank. The river was low. Snowmelt hadn't come down from the mountains yet. The water was ankle deep in most places, slow and brown, cutting through sandy banks, blind with salt cedar. The kids waded in up to their shins, catching tadpoles, throwing rocks. Lucas tried to skip a flat stone and got annoyed when it sank. Emma laughed at him. She was wearing pink sneakers, not even a year old. She kicked them off and left them on the bank to wade. I called out to her, put your shoes back on before dinner." She turned and grinned at me. "I'll get them back, Daddy." I remember that. The phrasing, "get them back," not "put them back on." But I didn't catch it then. Anna sat in a folding chair on the bank. She didn't look away from Emma the whole time the kids were in the water. Lucas told her to chill out, said she was being weird. She laughed too quickly and said she just liked watching them. She wasn't following the kids. She was watching the water. Around sunset, Emma came back to camp with one shoe. "Where's the other one?" She shrugged, like she'd been asked about a pencil. "I'll get it back." Lucas teased her. We made hot dogs over the fire. Anna ate 2 bites of hers and put it down. The desert went purple, then dark blue, then black. The sky got enormous. No moon. When I went to zip up the kids' tent for the night, I saw the missing shoe. He was sitting on top of Emma's sleeping bag, pink, dry, inside the tent, where she hadn't put it. I picked it up, turned it over. The sole was clean, no mud, no river silt, like it had never been wet at all. I told myself I'd missed her bringing it in. Maybe she'd put both shoes in the tent earlier and I hadn't seen. Maybe Lucas had grabbed it as a joke. There were 4 explanations for it, and they all required someone to have done something I hadn't seen them do. I set the shoe next to its match, zipped the tent, desert was quiet. Not silent, but quiet in the way the desert is. Crickets, the occasional coyote far off. The river made a sound like slow breathing, barely there. I asked her again what was on her mind. She stirred the coals with a stick. For a long time, she didn't answer. Then she said, Abuela had a rule about La Llorona. I waited. She said, don't follow the crying. The crying isn't for the children. It's for the parents. To pull them out of the tent, out of the house, away from where they're sleeping. The children who hear La Llorona, those ones can be saved. But the children whose parents follow the crying, Anna shook her head. Those ones are already gone. I asked her if her family had ever lost anyone to the river. She was quiet for a long time. Then she stood up and went to bed. I sat at the fire alone for a while, stared into the coals as they burned down, listened to the river. The water made its slow sound. The crickets did theirs. Everything was as it should be. I went to bed at midnight. I woke up at 2:47 a.m. I don't know why. I checked my phone, inhabit, and saw the time. The crickets were singing. The coyotes were quiet. The river was making its low murmur. The night was holding its shape. I lay there for a few minutes, listened. Anna was breathing slowly next to me. The tent fabric flexed in a small breeze. Somewhere out in the desert, an owl called once. I went back to sleep. I didn't know yet that the time would matter. The next day, Anna was worse. She didn't let Emma out of her sight, made her stay close to camp, wouldn't let her wade past her ankles. Lucas asked her 3 times why Emma was the only one in trouble. Anna said she wasn't in trouble. She just wanted Emma close. At lunch, Anna asked Emma what she dreamed about. Emma chewed her sandwich for a moment, and then she said, "A lady was singing to me last night. She was outside the tent." Anna didn't move. What was she singing? Emma shrugged. "I don't know. It was sad." "Did she say anything to you?" Emma thought about it. "She said I dropped one of my shoes. She said she was going to bring it back." I looked at Anna. Anna didn't look at me. She got up, walked to the truck, stayed there for 10 minutes. When she came back, she said we were leaving the next morning, one day early. I didn't argue. We went to bed early that night. The kids in their tent zipped up tight. Anna and I in ours, 20 feet away. I tried to read on my phone, couldn't focus. I kept checking the time. 10 o'clock, 11, midnight. The crickets sang. The coyotes did their distant work. The river breathed. 2:30, 2:40, 2:45, 2:47. The crickets stopped. Not one at a time. All of them at once. The landscape that had been alive a second ago went still. The coyotes stopped. The wind stopped. And the river stopped. Not the water. The water doesn't stop. But the sound of it. The soft, constant murmur from the bank just cut off. As if someone had pressed mute on the landscape. The silence had a thickness to it, a pressure on my ears like altitude. Anna sat up next to me, I felt her hand grip mine, hard. Through the dark, in a voice so quiet, it was almost not a voice, she said, "Don't go outside." Then I heard the crying. It came from the direction of the river, a woman's voice, not screaming, not wailing, crying. The way someone cries when they've been crying for so long, they have nothing left. A low, broken sound that hitched and stuttered and didn't stop. It had a quality I can only describe as directional. A pull, soft enough to make you lean in, soft enough to make your feet decide to move before your brain caught up. I felt my legs trying to stand. I felt my body try to take a step. Some instinct, older than thought, wanted to go and find the source of that sound. I planted my feet. I did not get out of the tent. Anna was holding my hand so hard her nails were cutting into my palm. The crying went on. A minute, 2, 5. It didn't get closer. It didn't get farther. It just continued. A sound that had been going on for 500 years, choosing tonight to keep going outside our tent. Then I heard the zipper, not ours. The kids' tent. Slowly, carefully. The zipper was being pulled open from the inside. I focused on the flap of our own tent door, saw the moonless dark shift where their door was opening. Emma stepped out. She was barefoot. Her eyes were open, but unfocused. She was looking toward the river, and she was walking. "Emma," my voice came out wrong, thin, strangled. She didn't stop. She walked past our tent like she didn't see it. Her bare feet were soundless on the dirt. Her arms were at her sides. Her face was perfectly calm. "Emma, stop." She didn't stop. I want to be clear about what happened next. I did not follow the crying. I followed my daughter. I scrambled out of the tent, caught her at the edge where the firelight had been, scooped her up. Her body was rigid in my arms, not tense, but directed. Her whole weight leaned toward the river. My arms had to hold against that tilt. She didn't fight, didn't struggle. She didn't even seem to notice me. The crying shifted. It got louder, not closer, louder, as if the thing making the sound was angry, or cheated, or both. I carried Emma back to our tent, zipped it shut, held her against my chest. Her stare hadn't moved, still fixed on the river. And then she whispered something that turned my blood to ice. She said, "Daddy, she lost her babies. She just wants them back." "Who told you that?" "She did. She was right at the tent, talking to me through the wall." "What did she say?" "Mis hijos." Anna put Emma between us, held her. Lucas was still asleep in the kids' tent. Hadn't heard a thing, hadn't moved. The crying went on for another hour. Soft, constant, furious. Sometime around 4 a.m., it began to fade. Not suddenly, gradually, like a radio signal losing range. By dawn, it was gone. The crickets came back. The coyotes did their last work before sunrise. The river started making its sound again. Emma had fallen asleep, her face against my chest, her hand clutching the fabric of my shirt. Anna hadn't slept at all. She was staring at the tent wall. In the first gray light of morning, without looking at me, she said, "She's keeping the shoes." I didn't know what she meant. We packed up at first light. Lucas woke up confused, asking why we were leaving early. Anna told him to get in the truck. He did. Emma was still groggy. She didn't remember walking out of the tent. She didn't remember the crying. When I asked her about it, she frowned, like she was trying to remember a dream and couldn't. I went to strike the kids' tent. Everything inside was as it should be. Lucas's sleeping bag, his book about space, his flashlight, Emma's stuffed rabbit, Emma's sleeping bag pulled back like she'd gotten up in the night. But his shoes were gone. Both of them gone. I found them at the river. Both shoes, side by side, placed neatly on the bank at the water's edge. Toes pointing toward the current, perfectly aligned, as if someone had taken them off her feet, carried them to the water, and set them down with great care, right next to a second pair, smaller, pink, decades older, sun-bleached and stained, but pristine, dirt deep in the laces, toes pointing at the same current. I stared at them for a long time. 2 pairs of children's pink sneakers, side by side, waiting. I called Anna over. She came down the bank, saw the shoes, stopped. Then she sat down on the sand and cried, the way you cry when something you spent your whole life pretending didn't happen finally catches up to you. She told me on the drive home. It took her about an hour. She'd start a sentence, stop, start again. Lucas had headphones on in the back seat. Emma was asleep in her car seat, clutching the stuffed rabbit. Anna had a younger sister. Her name was Marisol. She was 7 when she died. Anna was 9. They were camping at this same bend in the river 40 years ago. Their mother had heard about La Llorona her whole life. Every Mexican kid does. But their mother didn't believe in any of it. She had grown up in Albuquerque and gone to UNM and read books and married a man who didn't believe either. Their Abuela had warned her, "Don't camp at the river with the children." Their mother had laughed. Marisol wandered out of the tent at night, and the crying started. Anna woke up to find their mother holding her down on the sleeping bag, hand over Anna's mouth, whispering, for the first time in Anna's life, in Spanish, "No salgas, no salgas, no salgas. Don't go out." The crying went on for an hour outside the tent. Their mother did not move. In the morning, Marisol was face down in 8 inches of water, just past the bank. Her shoes were gone. Their mother told everyone the shoes had been lost in the current. The family moved to Las Cruces 6 months later. They never camped at the river again, but they didn't sell the land either. Anna's father, who hadn't been there that night, kept the land out of stubbornness, out of grief, out of wanting his daughter back. The family didn't talk about Marisol, ever. Anna said it like it was a rule of physics. We didn't talk about her for 40 years. Photographs taken down, birthdays unmarked. Even her grave had a different first name on it, a middle name no one used, because their mother couldn't bear to write Marisol on a stone. Anna hadn't said her sister's name out loud in 22 years. She said it once, then in the truck. Marisol, whispered, like a confession. Then she went quiet again. We haven't been back to that land. Anna's father asks every spring. We make excuses. Emma is 7 now. She doesn't remember that night. Not the tent, not the walking, not the crying, not the shoes. At least, she didn't. In the months after the camping trip, things in our house shifted in small ways. Emma started taking long baths, 45 minutes, an hour. Anna would knock on the door. Emma would say she was fine. The water always sounded normal, running, splashing. But the bathroom was always cold when Emma came out, even in summer. She started asking strange questions, whether her shoes ever miss her, whether water has a memory, whether a person who's been gone a long time can still want things. She drew pictures, crayon, always the same composition. A woman in a long dress, standing next to a body of water. Sometimes a river, sometimes a sink, once a swimming pool. The woman didn't have a face, just a long dress and long hair and an empty oval where the face should have been. In every drawing, there was a child standing next to her. In every drawing, the child had no shoes. Last month, Emma asked me where her pink sneakers went. I told her she'd lost them. She looked at me with an expression I'd never seen on a child's face. Not confusion, not sadness, recognition. The lady by the water has them, she said. She said she's keeping them for me, for when I come back. Last week, the bathroom faucet stopped at 2:47 a.m. I know the time because I checked my phone. Steady drip, and then silence, like something had been cut off. I got up to check. Emma's bathroom door was closed, mud under it. I opened it. The sink was full to the brim, water trembling at the edge, but not spilling, not running, held as if something was keeping it level. Emma was standing on her step stool in her pajamas, eyes wide open, the way they were at the river, looking at the mirror. She's at the door, Daddy. She brought my shoes. She wants me to put them on the bathroom tile, between the sink and the door. Wet sneaker prints, small, pink stained, heading from the sink toward the door, disappearing under it. 40 years of waiting. La Llorona doesn't need a river anymore. She has plumbing now. We moved a month later. New apartment, bigger city, 6th floor. We told ourselves the move was for work. We told the kids it was for school. The new place doesn't have a bathtub, just a shower stall. We installed a smart faucet that reports any leak, any drip, any standing water. We put a lock on the outside of the bathroom door at night. Anna hates it. She knows what it looks like. We do it anyway. Last week, Anna was unpacking the last of the boxes. One was marked Emma's room. It had been in the bottom of a closet for a month, and we hadn't got into it. She opened it. On top of Emma's old toys, sitting upright, the way someone sets a thing down they intend to come back for. A single pink sneaker. Tiny, sun-bleached, decades older than anything that had ever belonged to our daughter. Anna picked it up, turned it over. Inside, on the tongue, in faded Sharpie, in her own mother's handwriting, a name she hadn't said in 22 years. Marisol. Anna sat on the floor with her sister's shoe in her lap, and she didn't cry. She just looked at it, and she said, "She's making a set. My sister, my daughter. She's not finished." La Llorona drowned her own children 500 years ago in a river that has long since changed course, in a town that no longer goes by the same name. She's been wandering ever since, calling for her children, sometimes finding others, always taking their shoes. The Mexican families who carry this story know how to outlast her. Don't go near the water after dark. Don't follow the crying. Don't sleep where she can hear you breathing. But the rules were written for rivers, for desert nights, for tents and campfires, and a child who walked away barefoot. The rules didn't account for plumbing, for sinks, for bath water held trembling at the edge of a basin in a 6th-floor apartment in a city she has never seen. 500 years is a long time to learn new ways into a house. Some places hold their dead, some don't. Some others never stop looking for what they lost. This has been Hollowgrin. Until next time.